Susan Blow. There was actually some kindergarten prior to that, but this was the first public one. 150 years old.
Wow, no blowback.
Speaking of humor, speaking of humor,
No.
oh man, I've got it. Yeah. Looking for someone to take couples therapy and see how long it takes the therapist to notice we don't know each other. Now, what is the date today?
It's the
It's May 9th. Okay, so folks, if you're listening in December, just don't worry about it. But what's happening school-wise?
finals.
Finals. Okay, we're getting ready to the end, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Thank goodness.
the student goes, "Hey, can I do something to help my grade, teacher?" It's May. Sorry, may I do something to help my grade? Okay, so here's an attorney joke. So if you're an attorney listening, don't worry about it. Attorneys questioning a doctor on the stand. Attorney, doctor, before you perform the autopsy, did you check for a pulse? Attorney, did you check for blood pressure? No. Attorney, did you check for breathing? No. So then, is it possible that the patient was alive when you began the autopsy? No. How can you be so sure, doctor? Because his brain was sitting on my desk in a jar. But could the patient have still been alive nevertheless? Yes, it is possible that he could have been alive and practicing law.
Oh, this is terrible.
This is terrible. Did you know that the leading cause for injury in old men is them thinking they are still young? And reminders, this is reminders from your child, parents who are engaging in their children's sporting activities. I'm a kid. It's just a game. My coach is a volunteer. The umpires are human, and no college scholarships will be handed out. Okay. People say love is the best feeling, but I think finding a clerk who has having diarrhea is better.
Oh yeah. It's
A fact is information minus emotion. An opinion is information plus experience. Ignorance is an opinion lacking information, and stupidity is an opinion that ignores.
these things. That was something.
Did you hear that Julie Andrews will no longer cheat for the It crumbles easily and makes it rust. She explained, the super color fragile lipstick gives me palpitations.
Oh,
And, if you ever go fishing, some guys have a fishing spot, some guys have fishing spears. These two guys how do you like my stuff? The guy goes, it's really cool, not even a fishing boat. And then my coworker said to me today, you shouldn't eat red meat. I said, my grandfather lived to be 100 years old. He said, did he eat red meat? I said, no, he minded his own business. And the last one today, folks.
no, wait a minute, hold it. We're doing an applause or something.
It's okay to fall apart sometimes. Tacos do. Still love you.
Oh my gosh. Great. Thank you, Arnold. It's not your time.
Well, folks, that's all for this hour. Thank you for listening. Don't forget the Martians invade the common one race, the human race, and every one of us has different characteristics and is unique without St. Louis and Tunes Professional Immediately and the U.S. Radio Network, or St. Louis and Tunes Public Finance, and I want to remember to walk worthy.
people.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Mole Hole with the hardest working sports announcer in St. Louis that nobody's ever heard of. He's Randy Molman, and the show starts now. Good morning, St. Louis, and welcome to The Mole Hole here in beautiful Tower Grove. We're right by Tower Grove Park. It's a beautiful day. I'd like to do the show going on a walk in Tower Grove one day. Just walk around the park, do the show, just talk. I talk to myself anyway all the time. We'll get to that later. Right off the top, though, I want to open up the celebrity guest line because we have head women's basketball coach for SIUE, Samantha Quigley-Smith, joining us right off the top of the show here. Good morning, Coach, and thank you for joining.
Good morning. So good to be here.
And, I tell people all the time, the last two seasons when basketball season ends, after I call your games for, 4 months or whatever, and I know you feel the same because you've been in this way longer than me, I feel like a girlfriend has left me. Like there's a pit in my stomach. I've got nothing to do. Like, what am I going to do with my time now? I feel like I got dumped after a good 4.5 month relationship.
Us too. Trust me. Yeah, it's one of the more depressing times of the year.
All right. So, but your season is really kind of is going to be kind of all year this year because you guys have sort of a really cool opportunity for SIUE basketball, women's basketball. You guys are making an overseas trip. You're going to be traveling to Italy, playing against some professional teams and doing some sightseeing. Tell us about this trip coming up for SIUE women's basketball.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's going to be truly a life-changing experience for them. And our women are just so excited about it. We've had great support, especially from our administration. We have a new athletic director here who's so excited for this for us as well. So much of it has been the prepping and the planning the last 1.5 to 2 years. And now the moment is getting closer and closer. So we're excited about that. And all of our student athletes receive academic credit. We have a SIUE professor, Dr. Carol Frick, who will actually be traveling with us on the tour. She'll do a few classes with them before we leave. And so they'll get academic credit as well. And then we also play against 2 Italian professional teams while we're there. So it'll be a great eye-opening experience for many of them.
So let me ask, I have a quick question before we get into the some of the sites that you guys are going to have kind of lined up, because I know it's got to take a ton of planning, right? So I want to talk about that. But real quick, when you're playing these professional teams and you get to take this trip, are you allowed, like, is there, do you get a waiver, or how does that work in terms of being able to play in the summer when normally you're limited practice-wise, right?
Yes, correct. So the NCAA allows one foreign tour every 4 years. So that sort of is the one caveat when it comes to NCAA rules. And then you are allowed anywhere between 8 to 10 practices before you depart for that trip.
So, I mean, for extra development, this is also huge, just basketball.
Oh, yes, especially with a new team and a lot of new faces. It's a great experience to have to really get to know each other. And, we're going to be hitting the ground running here next week and starting some of those workouts. And then we'll be going to Italy. Some of these women graduated from high school yesterday, and they'll be in Italy in 25 days. How about that?
That is fantastic. All right, so tell us, when does the team leave, and what's on the agenda? Like, what are the sites that are SIUE women's basketball players? And you, quite frankly, you and your coaching staff, what will you guys get to see while you're there?
Yeah, so they actually arrive on campus next week after Memorial Day, and so we'll start workouts, and then we depart on June 16th. We'll fly into Rome, and then we sort of start there with Colosseum. We'll be at the Vatican and doing all of those museum touring, and then we sort of make our way to Venice, to Milan, and then we'll even spend some time on the Amalfi Coast. That probably will be their favorite day, with the beaches and the water and the Italian vibe. But along the way, we're visiting museums, we're touring historical sites. All of it is really tied into the course. So Dr. Carol Frick and even our travel agent, Sally Gordon, have work together to really put together an amazing itinerary for us, where we're getting some of the fun sites, but more importantly, we're getting the historical, the informational places that, any other situation they would never experience this. So that'll be a really cool thing for our group. And we'll be posting about it and videoing all the time and blogging, all those things.
Yeah, I mean, just to be able to learn about those things first, which you said Dr. Frick's going to do is kind of teach them some of the, the history of the country and some of the sites and the history of all that. But then the following week to get to actually go visit, I mean, that's going to be mind-blowing.
Yeah, you see all the photos and you see all the information about it in the books, and then you actually get to be there and be standing there, which is pretty remarkable.
I remember you're very familiar with the city of Chicago. I remember the first time I went to Chicago to go to Wrigley Field, right? First time I walked in the stadium, I look around and I was taken aback in the moment because I was a baseball kid, grew up playing baseball. I'm a huge baseball fan. And I was taken aback. The stadium's over 100 years old. Babe Ruth hitting that batter's box. Bob Gibson for the Cardinals pitched on that mound. It's the same stadium. It's the same field. I can't imagine what the feelings are going to be like when you guys hit the Coliseum.
Oh yes, unbelievable, and just the age of everything.
Yes,
from a European standpoint, and even here, many of our women have never been out of the country. So just to experience something that is so much older than you are walking around here, it's just different. So I had taken a team to France a couple years ago, and we went to the beaches of Normandy, like where our soldiers stormed the beaches. I mean, just an eerie. I mean, those are the moments that they're going to experience, which is really, really cool.
Right. Wow, that's awesome. So, all right. So, how long is the team gone? You said a week?
Yep, we're gone for 10 days, actually.
10 days. And
10 days.
And you said someone will be providing updates on social media. This is something I need to pay attention to so I can know what the scores are in these games. Do you know anything about the teams you're playing?
I do not yet. No,
okay.
No. But I mentioned that last trip that I took with our other team, and we had been warming up, and a woman came out of the locker room, and she was a former WNBA player.
Oh man!
And I think she was 38 years old, and I'm pretty sure she gave us 38 points. So I don't think it's going to be easy by any means.
No, I don't imagine it will be. But wow, what a cool experience for SIUE women's basketball, for you, for your team. This is going to be awesome. Have you yourself been to Italy before? I
have never been to Italy. No, I've been to a few countries over there, but my sister, she played professionally in Italy for a couple years, and it was her favorite country.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is very cool, and congratulations on pulling this off. This is going to be a really ridiculous experience for your students, for your coaching staff, for you yourself. I mean, what a great experience to do for this program. And you said you got 4 new players coming out of high school. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then 4 out of the transfer portal. So you've got 8 new players. Talk a little bit quick before I let you go. Talk a little bit about this transition and roster turnover you have this year. Coming up this year.
Truly over half of our team. So we had quite a few graduate and decide to kind of move on with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it was so much about, we're in this rebuilding stage still, so finding the right women in the right style of play that we're trying to do from a basketball standpoint, but then finding really great families. We've got some amazing women coming in, mostly from the Midwest, but we've got a couple from out of state too, one from Tennessee, one from Florida. So we're just really excited for the energy that they're going to bring, the competitiveness. Each year as a coach, you want to increase that, even if it's by a little bit every season, just to help build what it is that you've already established. So we're certainly going to be doing that this year. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. And, you and I talked about this during the regular season, sort of off the record, but with the transfer portal, it's almost like you have to recruit. Yes, you have to bring in outside players. You've got to use the portal. You've got to get high school graduates, but you also have to kind of recruit, the core of your own team every year.
Yeah. It's kind of the nature of the beast at this point. So it's certainly something all of us as college coaches, have to adjust to. We've got to sort of roll with the punches and think of it in a positive light. We've got a great group of returners that'll be coming back that have truly bought into the program, and what it is that we want to accomplish here. At the end of the day, we're trying to win an OVC championship, so we're trying to cut down a net, and the transfer portal obviously is part of that. So we just have to adjust. We have to adjust as coaches and, maybe coach a little differently. So that's something that us as a staff have really, adopted here in the last few months.
Well, Coach, thank you for joining us this morning. Once again, SIUE women's basketball head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith joining us here this morning. She's taking her team to Italy on a trip starting June 16th, 10 days in Italy, sightseeing, education, and basketball. What a fantastic way to not only teach, but develop your young women.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on too. And, just getting to hear a little bit about our program and what we're doing. There's going to be some really special things happening in the next couple of years here, not just with our women's basketball program, but truly all of SIUE athletics. With our new athletic director, Andrew Gavin, we really feel like this is going to a great place here in the next few years.
Yeah, I was going to say, so he's been on the job now for a few months, and
Yep.
all I've heard are positive things. I'm being a small part of SIUE athletics, I'm very excited for the future, and I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, definitely. Just the energy. It's a different vibe. When you walk into the offices and you're, prepared for the workday and prepared for our future. So many great things that are on the horizon here, even in the next few months. So keep a lookout, everybody, in the fall. There's going to be some awesome things happening here.
That's head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith from SIUE women's basketball. Hey, enjoy the trip, have a ball, and win a couple of exhibition games, would you?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
That's head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith from SIUE women's basketball coach. And, man, she is salt of the earth. She is fantastic. Her sister, Allie, she mentioned, played in the WNBA, won a WNBA title with Chicago, one of the best basketball players in the world. She was one of the best point guards herself, Samantha Quigley-Smith, in NCAA the time she played at DePaul. And set records there and is one of their best players of all time. And I remember I've mentioned this on the air. We cover SIUE sports here on KXOK, which is fantastic. And I just remember before I started doing play-by-play for the Cougars, I was their public address announcer for years. I got to do the Division II Great Lakes Valley Conference tournament would play in Edwardsville. So Division II basketball tournament every year. So I got to do PA for it for 3 years. And Coach Sam brought her Lewis University D2 team to that tournament. And I just remember every year thinking, man, her teams are fundamentally sound. They're having fun. They're always smiling. She's smiling. Like, I'll bet you she's fun to play for. And then all of a sudden, SIUE hires her as their new head coach. And I was like, oh, that is fantastic. I am so excited for next season. As she mentioned, they're going to have like half the rosters brand new, a lot of new players coming in. I'm really excited to see them. Plus a lot of good returners. It's KK Rodriguez, who's a St. Louis native, went to Webster Groves High School, who, from what I had heard, was done playing basketball. She was out with a friend on the West Coast. She had played at Tulsa sparingly, had injuries. She was down on playing, got a call from the Cougars and said, look, do you want to come home and give it one more shot? She came home, and she was the engine for the Cougars last year. Like, she was the glue. Hard-nosed player from St. Louis, Webster Groves High, and now and found her love of the game again playing for Coach Sam and her staff. And so that's a testament, with KK coming back, and then you've got Macy Sylvie, who this freshman who started off a little she was a little tentative, and the more playing time she got, she started becoming one of the best shooters on the team. You've got another guard in Sophie Lois, who's a three-point shooter who is going 100 miles an hour all the time. They've got a good nucleus coming back, and I noticed by the 8 players they have coming, they've got a lot of new guards that are coming in. Of course, Coach Sam was a point guard. Coach Sam knows guard play. And I've seen some of the highlight videos of a couple of these players. And I'm telling you, man, I'm excited for SIUE women's basketball. And what a cool thing, man. They get to go to Italy for 10 days and see the sights and go to the beach and play basketball and eat Italian food. Oh, man. I'm jealous, I got to say. How come they didn't want to put these games on the radio? Well, how the radio broadcaster can't come along? That's my only complaint. You don't want a radio broadcast from Italy? Oh, man. Anyway, congratulations. That's awesome, and I can't wait. I honestly said at the beginning of that interview, I said to her after every season, it's a lump. So I have been doing public address for so long. You know, you're on the fringe. You don't talk to the coaches. You don't really talk to the players. You show up, you do your public address, and you leave. You get to know the administration and behind the scenes folks, but you never really get to know the players and the coaches. When I started doing play-by-play and started getting embedded with that women's program at SIUE, you get to know the players a little bit. You get to know the coaching staff. You talk to them. You're on bus rides. You see them in the hotel rooms. You're out to dinner. And it is when the season's over, it's like it's sad. You're sad for a couple of weeks. It does feel like a breakup. But it's exciting because, I get to rekindle the romance in November. Woohoo! So anyway, great stuff going on at SIUE, new athletic director, great coaches at the men's and women's basketball level. SIUE softball got all the way to the championship game of the OVC tournament. They were one game away from going to the NCAA tournament. SIUE soccer, women's soccer, has been in the NCAA tournament now for 2 straight years. They're OVC champs. Men's soccer is usually good. It is, things are looking up over there, and everyone always, it's still the general public. When you mention SIUE, they go, oh yeah, that's that small college over in it. They are a Division I athletic program. Yes, they're a mid-major, but they are not a small Division II school anymore. They haven't been for a long time. Pay attention to SIUE, folks. They're making noise over there in the OVC. All right. I want to talk Cardinal baseball because I have a message to the B-Fibs, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until the second segment. I want to start with NHL. St. Louis's own Matthew Tkachuk playing for the Florida Panthers. The Panthers just swept Carolina to get into the Stanley Cup Finals. The Panthers were the last team to get in. They beat the number 1 seed Boston Bruins, who set records this year as one of the best regular season teams of all time. Then they hammer the Toronto Maple Leafs with Ryan O'Reilly 4-1, and then swept Carolina. The Panthers are 8-1 in their last 9 playoff games, and they were the 8th seed for all intents and purposes, the last seed to get into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Matthew Tkachuk, St. Louis's own Matthew Tkachuk, whose dad, Keith Tkachuk, as you all know, played for the Blues. Matthew Tkachuk, out in West County. I don't remember which high school. I should know that. Chaminade or DeSmet. I don't know. One of those. I don't know. CBC. I don't think so. SLU High. I can't remember. My apologies. St. Louis's own Matthew Tkachuk. Now, let me give you the numbers first. In the regular season, and by the way, he's on his way to winning the Conn Smythe Trophy if the Panthers win the Stanley Cup, which is awarded to the most valuable player of the NHL playoffs. Ryan O'Reilly won that for the Blues when the Blues won the Cup in 2018-19. Tkachuk during the regular season, 40 goal scorer, 109 points in 79 games. He was plus 29. He had 14 power play goals, 6 game-winning goals all season in 79 games. Remember that number, 6 game-winning goals in 79 games. And his goal percentage or shot percentage was 12.4%, meaning 12.4% of the shots he took scored. In the playoffs, he's now played in 16 games, 9 goals, which is third in the playoffs, 12 assists, which is tied for first, 21 points, which is second in the playoffs this year. He's a plus 10. He has 2 power play goals, and last night scored his 4th game-winning goal of the playoffs. He had 6 game-winning goals all season in 79 games. He scored his 4th game-winning goal of the playoffs last night, and his shot percentage is up to 16% of the shots he takes are goals. 4% difference, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot. That's a big difference in the playoffs, especially in the playoffs when everything's tighter. Matthew Tkachuk's goal last night to win it for the Panthers came at 19:55. 5 seconds to go in a tie game. He buries a goal in front of the net. A lot of traffic. He sort of wrapped around the far side, came right in front, took a shot, got blocked, puck came back to him. Boom, he puts it in the upper left corner with 5 seconds to go, and the Panthers sweep Carolina. Couple other numbers. 4 goals in 9 road games in the playoffs. 3 of his 4 game-winning goals came on the road, and all 3 of those road game winners were in overtime. Let's talk about clutch. He's -1 at home in the playoffs, plus 11 on the road in the playoffs. That's unheard of. What a playoffs Matthew Tkachuk is having. And he's a St. Louis kid. His dad played for the Blues. There was talk in the offseason that the Blues should pursue this guy. He went from Calgary to the Panthers. Now he is putting the Panthers on his shoulders and carrying them to the Stanley Cup Finals. How about Matthew Tkachuk? St. Louis's own. Wow. Let's compare it. Hold on a second. Let's compare. Because you're talking about Conn Smythe winners now. Ryan O'Reilly won the Conn Smythe when the Blues won their Stanley Cup. Ryan O'Reilly played in 26 games, scored 8 goals. Matthew Tkachuk's played in 16 games. He has 9 goals. Ryan O'Reilly in 26 games had 15 assists. Matthew Tkachuk has 12 in 16 games. Ryan O'Reilly had 23 points. Tkachuk has 21 in 16 games. O'Reilly was +2 in the playoffs. Tkachuk is +10. Ryan O'Reilly had 2 game-winning goals in the playoffs. Tkachuk has 4. 14.81 shot percentage for Ryan O'Reilly. Now, look, they play different positions. O'Reilly was a center, right? Tkachuk is a sniper. He's a winger. He's a goal scorer. But you look at those numbers, and Tkachuk's numbers are better than Ryan O'Reilly's, who won a Conn Smythe with the Blues in their Stanley Cup run. How about that? Unbelievable. So St. Louis's own Matthew Tkachuk just lighting the lamp for the Panthers. And they are on their way to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they're going to play the winner of Las Vegas. And it's escaping me. I know who it is. I have these mental blocks, Mark, from time to time. As you get older, Vegas is on its way to sweeping. They're up 3-0. But their opponent is escaping me at the moment. It's Vegas, probably, and Florida in the Stanley Cup Final. I mean, wow. And Matthew Tkachuk, what a playoffs he's having. He's on his way to a Conn Smythe performance if the Panthers can win it all. Well, we had Coach Samantha Quigley-Smith on here in the first segment. SIUE women's basketball headed to Italy this summer to play a couple of games against professional teams in Italy and see the sights. That is awesome for that program. Congratulations to them, and congratulations to St. Louis's own Matthew Tkachuk for the Florida Panthers. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk Cardinal baseball, and specifically, I'm going to talk to the B-Fibs. And I'm going to talk about Paul DeJong and tell you why his start this year is so amazing. We'll be back right after this. Height Digital is a full-service digital marketing agency that helps local businesses grow online. They offer everything from logo and branding to website design, search engine optimization, and paid advertising on Google and Facebook. Height was just named to the top marketing agency list for 2022 by St. Louis Small Business Monthly. Contact them today for a free digital audit to see how you can grow. That's Height Digital, HITE digital.com/ST-Lewis. Are you a company who needs help recruiting and hiring full-time professionals in the areas of engineering or information technology? Then call Steve Tucker at Talent Edge. Steve has over 25 years experience in recruiting as a partner and can really give you the edge you need. Also, calling all candidates looking for new opportunities in engineering or IT. Steve will help match your skill set to the right opportunity. 314-276-0074 or check out Talent Edge at talentedgellc.net. Once again, 314-276-0074. Folks,
Talent
it's time to let You've Got Maids focus on cleaning your home so you can focus on life. Whether you need weekly, bi-weekly, one-time cleaning, your home will be cleaned to your highest expectations. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. You can get a free no-obligation estimate today. See how little it can cost to have all of your house cleaning needs met by You've Got Maids and their trained maids. All you have to do is go to you'vegotmaids.com, enter your zip code and a little bit of information about your dwelling, and they'll come back immediately with a free estimate. You've Got Maids offers cleaning services ranging from deep cleaning to simple everyday cleaning on a schedule that matches yours. Live well, laugh often, love much. Stop cleaning your house. Turn it over to You've Got Maids at you'vegotmaids.com.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchata and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open 7 days a week. El Potro, 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland.
We are back here in the Mole Hole. My name is Randy Molman. What a great first segment we had with SIUE women's basketball coach Samantha Quigley-Smith. That program going places. They're taking the girls, the young women, get to go to Italy to play a couple of Italian teams in exhibition in June. They get to travel the country and get course credit, the whole thing. Man. Too bad I wasn't a very good athlete. I wouldn't be part of any teams that would be traveling overseas to play sports. Unless it was wiffle ball. I was a fantastic wiffle ball player, but that's a subject for another day. Hey, do you remember, B-Fibs, do you remember a couple weeks ago when I said to you, relax, B-Fibs, relax. The Cardinals have now won. Let's see. They were 10-24. They're now 22-9. That's 12-5 for you math whizzes. 12-5 in their last 17. What did I say? Relax. It's early. Oh yeah, they dug themselves a hole. There's no doubt about that. And they're still, 5 games out? Something like that. But this division isn't good. The Pirates got off to a great start. They've come back to earth. They're about 500 now. Milwaukee's been better recently, but they had a losing streak for a while. The Cubs aren't good. The Reds aren't good. Yes, Cardinals lost last night. It was ugly. And something's got to be done with Steven Matz. But the Cardinals are 12-5. You know, the goal here is to get to 500 as quickly as possible and then go from there. Cardinals still have a ways to go. They're 7 under 500. But when you get off to a 10-24 start, then now you've got increments, right? You're going to have to win blocks. It's like I say when I'm calling basketball games and you're down 10, let's say, going into the last half of the second half or the fourth quarter if it's women's basketball. All right, in order to get that lead trimmed down in the first 3 to 4 minutes, you got to win that block by 4 to 6 points. Then you got to win the next block by 4 to 6 points. You just got to win blocks, right? And in a long baseball season, the Cardinals have to win blocks. They were 14 games under 500. They've already cut that in half. They're 7 games under. So if you go 12-5 over your next 17, now you're into June and you're at 500. And you've got July, August, September. Just get to 500. That as quickly as you can get there. And then once you get there, that's a major win when you're 14 games under. You get so then you go 14 games over, you get to 500. Okay? It can be done. I know it was a bad start. I know everyone was crying and screaming. I know everyone was throwing tantrums. This is what we've been waiting for. Now you can fire the whole front office. No. Yeah, there you go. There's the crying right there. It's all I heard. Anytime I opened up social media and it talked about the Cardinals, that's the sound I heard. Fire everybody! As I've said before, I get frustrated as well. We all knew that this pitching wasn't going to be enough. We all knew it. All the fans knew it. The analysts knew it. The national baseball people knew it. The local baseball people, we all knew it. We all knew that it was going to be, I don't know if we have enough pitching. We all knew it. And our front office did nothing about it. I get it. We also knew this lineup was going to be good. It was going to be good with Arenado and Goldschmidt as the anchors, you adding Wilson Contreras, who's an offensive threat. And at the beginning of the season, you thought, if Tyler O'Neill's healthy, he's going to help. If Brendan Donovan is just like he was last year, getting on base, wreaking havoc, and if Nolan Gorman takes a step up. Now, I have a couple of other things that I would like to say I told you so about, and because this is my show, I'm going to say I told you so. I don't get to do this often. In my personal life, I never get to tell anyone I told you so. Because if I tell my wife I told you so, I'm in trouble. Or I'm in trouble anyway. So I don't win either way if I say I told you so in regular life. Although I do love to say I told you so to the kids. Sometimes my kids, as they grow up and they get a little older and they come back to me and they go, "You're right." Oh, that's the best. There's nothing better than when your kids fight with you and then they get older and realize some of the stuff you did was actually right. Oh, it's the best feeling. And it's no greater feeling than the 2 players I'm going to talk about right now, where I'm going to give you, I told you so. Jordan Walker didn't belong in the majors coming out of spring training. I told you that. I didn't understand it. I said it right here on the show when he made the roster. I said Jordan Walker is not ready. And the reason for that was he was raking pitching when all of the great pitchers he was facing was playing in the World Baseball Classic. And then when everyone came back in the last 10 days of spring training, he was in a pretty big slump. The Cardinals used the excitement of the fan base as their litmus test for Jordan Walker. They saw that the crowd and the fans and St. Louis was pumped about the quote-unquote next Albert Pujols. And so Jordan Walker made the team, helped sell tickets. And by the way, started off pretty good. Had a 12-game hitting streak, but even towards the end of that, over 60% ground ball rate. He was starting to, his swing and miss rate was going through the roof. He wasn't putting balls in play. Pitchers started to get a book on him, and they started to pitch him differently, and he could not adjust. He's, 20? 21? Just turned 21? Never played AAA. He's got some adjusting to do, but he did not belong on the major league roster out of spring training. Now, and that was a not a very popular take around St. Louis. And when they sent him to the minors, all the B-fibs freaked out. Oh, Cardinals doing Cardinals things again. They're not going to let him ride it out. They're going to send him to the minors. What's that do for his confidence? I'll tell you what it's going to do. They're going to work on the tweaks and adjustments to his swing so he can hit for more power. That's what he's here for, to hit for power, not to hit the ball on the ground 60% of the time. And that feeds into my second I told you so. Nolan Gorman. How awesome has Nolan Gorman been? Last year, everybody, his rookie season, they want to give up on Nolan Gorman. Strikes out too much. Can't make adjustments. Oh, I see the writing on the wall. This guy's not going to be any good. What did he do in the offseason? Worked on his swing, worked on his approach, worked on making adjustments. And he is raking. That's what Jordan Walker's doing right now as a 21-year-old in AAA. It didn't hurt him to send him back to the minor leagues. It's only going to make him better in the long run. He shouldn't have made the team out of spring training to begin with. There's my two I told you so's. Nolan Gorman. Why are we giving up on him? I said it last year. Everyone wants to give up on Nolan Gorman. Why? He's a rookie. Learning a new position also. He never played second base, really. He played third and a little bit in the corner outfield in Memphis. He started to play second when they realized, well, maybe we could put him there. He's learning a new position. He's a rookie. He struggled a little bit. He had a great rookie year in terms of power numbers, but he struggled making adjustments. He struggled with breaking balls. He struggled against lefties. He's not struggling against those anymore in his second year after he's made adjustments. You can't give up on guys so early. Everyone wants to give up on guys. Now, this is not an I told you so, because I had given up on him as well. But let's talk Paul DeJong. Paul DeJong last year in 77 games hit 157. He slugged 286. No power. The year before, 113 games in 2021, hit 197. Only slugged 390. Paul DeJong has been bad for 2 years. Actually, probably 2.5 years. He started to go downhill in 20. But 2019 was his big season, and he's been very, very bad since. He just has. Look at the numbers. There's nothing you can say. Let me give you an example of how bad he was offensively. Do Cardinal fans remember Pete Kozma? Do you remember that little light-hitting shortstop, Pete Kozma, who was on the 2013 team that got to the World Series? Kozma was our shortstop. Light-hitting shortstop, very good defensively. Kozma's only played one full season in the majors. That was with the Cardinals. He was in 2013. I mean, he was with the Cardinals several years, but he wasn't a full-time player except for 1 year. that year, everyone talked about, we don't care about his offense. He's a good defender. He's a light hitting shortstop. He's a tiny little guy, but he plays good shortstop. He played, by the way, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I totally forgotten. Pete Kozma played 143 games in 2013. He was your starting shortstop. And when you say light hitting, Kozma hit 217 that year, that whole year, 217, and he slugged 273. Light hitting Pete Kozma is a career 213 hitter. Last year, Paul DeJong hit 157. Pete Kozma that year he started hit 217. Paul DeJong slugged 2 last year. Pete Kozma slugged 273. Paul DeJong was worse offensively than Pete Kozma for 2 years now. So, at some point, yes, after that much data, you say, Paul DeJong is washed. He's done. He's tried multiple things to get back to that 2019 level. He's tried multiple ways. He's worked in the offseason. He's worked during the season. He's worked on his swing. He's worked on his stance. He's worked on his approach multiple times, including last offseason. Cardinal fans are still hating on Paul DeJong. Here's what I don't understand. I was ready to say, this is over. That's it. Mason Wynn's on the way. He'll be here next year. Tommy Edman can play short this year. Stop it with the Paul DeJong experiment. It's over. It's no longer an experiment at this point. He's not good anymore. Go somewhere else, see what you can do. Maybe he has a resurgence like Matt Carpenter had with the Yankees. Time to let it go. Cardinal front office stayed steadfast. They believed in DeJong. And I get it. I'm going to say it right now. It's only 20. He's only played in 25 games this year. So let's remember that as I give you these numbers, because it could all go south. But I want to talk about how remarkable he has been in just 25 games. He's hitting 291. He's got a 371 on base percentage. He's slugging 616, and his OPS is almost 1,000. It's 987. By the way, those numbers, I think the slugging and the OPS are number one among major league shortstops. This, by the way, from last year, 291 to 157, from a 245 on base percentage to 371, a 286 slugging percentage to 616. 4 doubles, 8 homers, 18 RBIs. So I wanted to look this up. He's on a 150 game pace. Let's say he plays in 150 games. He won't, because he's already missed 25 games. So, but it's a 150 game pace of 24 doubles, 48 homers, 108 RBIs. That's the 50 game pace. And by the way, 48 walks, which would be the most he's had in a season since his big 2019 season. He has one less home run in half the games than Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. He's third on the team in on-base percentage, third in batting average. Now, here's some of the interesting statistics. And I know I'm going to bore you with stats on my show today. You know, there's some shows I get heavy into statistics. I do a lot of prep work. There's some shows we talk in generalizations. Sometimes I talk about social issues. Sometimes I have interviews. Sometimes I have people come in and sit. Today I'm going stat heavy on Paul DeJong, because I think what he's done in 25 games is amazing, and I hope it continues. Because think about this. A lineup with Arenado, Goldschmidt, Nolan Gorman, Wilson Contreras, and a Paul DeJong hitting at this level makes this one of the most lethal offenses in baseball, especially when you factor in Lars Nootbaar's on-base percentage, which is over 400. when you factor in Tommy Edman and then factor in, Brendan Donovan. You're talking about a very good lineup. Very good. One of the best in baseball if Paul DeJong continues to hit this way. Let me give you some other statistics here and comparisons, by the way. I looked up last year's all-star shortstops. In the American League, it was Tim Anderson for the White Sox, Xander Bogaerts, who played for Boston then, is with the Padres now, Corey Seager in his first year with the Rangers. In the National League, it was Trey Turner with the Dodgers, Dansby Swanson with the Braves. He's now with the Cubs. Those were your 5 shortstops that made the all-star team last year. Okay? Tim Anderson last year hit 3-0. He played 79 games. He was hurt most of the second half of the season, so he didn't play all season. But Tim Anderson was an all-star last year, hit 301, which is a tick better than DeJong. On-base percentage, 339. DeJong's is better this year. Slugging percentage, 395. DeJong's is better, and DeJong has a better OPS. DeJong's strikeout rate is 26%. Still high. But his walk percent is 8.3%. Tim Anderson's last year as an all-star was 4%. Runners in scoring position last season, all-star, Tim Anderson, 231. Men on base, 261. Paul DeJong with runners in scoring position this year hitting 333. Slugging 1,000. With men on base, 351, 757 slugging for Paul DeJong. This is a comparison with an all-star shortstop, Tim Anderson. Xander Bogaerts was an all-star last year. In 150 games, 307, average a tick better than DeJong's. On-base percentage, pretty much even in the 370s. Slugging percentage, DeJong's is better this year. 616 to 456. OPS, DeJong's is better. 987 to 833. Bogaerts drove in 73 runs. DeJong in a 150-game pace would drive in 108. Walk percentage, a percentage better for Bogaerts. Strikeout percentage, Bogaerts much better. Runners in scoring position, all-star, Xander Bogaerts last year hit 301. This year, DeJong hitting 333 with runners in scoring position. Men on base last year, Bogaerts 326. This year, DeJong 351. Better. DeJong better, putting up better numbers than all-star Xander Bogaerts. Another all-star shortstop, Corey Seager. He hit 245 last year. DeJong this year, much better. On-base percentage, 317. DeJong's much better. Slugging percentage, 455. DeJong's much better. Played in 151 games, drove in 83. DeJong on a 150-game pace would drive in 108. The only difference with these all-stars is the strikeout percentage. DeJong strikes out more than these other guys, no doubt. Runners in scoring position last year, Corey Seager, all-star for the Rangers, hit 301. DeJong this year hitting 333. Men on base last year, Corey Seager, 259. This year, DeJong, 351. 351, 100 points better. Trey Turner, who was an all-star for the Dodgers at shortstop. Yeah, I'm going through all of them. I know you're bored. I'm going through all of them because it is amazing, this turnaround in these 25 games. Trey Turner, all-star shortstop, starter from the Dodgers. He's with the Phillies this year. 160 games last year. Turner hit 298. DeJong's hitting 291. 343 on base. DeJong's is better. 466 slugging. DeJong's this year's is better. DeJong has a better OPS this year. Again, strikeout rate, much worse. DeJong does strike out a lot. Runners in scoring position for all-star Trey Turner, 315. DeJong hitting 333. Men on base, Trey Turner last year, 300. This year, DeJong, 351. Better. Turner drove in 100 runs in 160 games. DeYoung on pace in a 50-game schedule to drive in 108. Dansby Swanson, all-star for the Braves, now with the Cubs. Last year with the Braves, hit 277, DeYoung better. On base, DeYoung better. Slugging, 447, DeYoung better. OPS, 776, DeYoung's better. Runners in scoring position, 321, slugging 562 last year for Dansby Swanson. This year, DeYoung, 333, slugging 1,000 with runners in scoring position. Men on base, Swanson, 307, DeYoung, 351 this year. Look, I'm going to say it again because I know a lot of you will say, oh, it's only 25 games. Let's see how it is at the end. Okay, I get it. But why can't Cardinal fans look at these numbers and say, all right, he's been terrible. And I was someone who said, yeah, he's got to go. Let's move on. It's been 2 years now. He's not getting better. He's getting worse. And he was. Again, last year he hit 157. He slugged 286. Pete Kozma had a better offensive year in 2013. Pete Kozma. I get that. But why can't I still see hate for Paul DeYoung on social media? Oh, we're just waiting for the bottom to drop out. This is a small sample size. He'll go right back to I get it's a small sample size. I just said that. 25 games is a small sample size. But I don't understand why Cardinal fans can't say, I'm excited for these 25 games because he's helped us win. I don't think we're 12-5 over the last 17 games without Paul DeYoung. He's driven in 18 runs in 25 games. And he plays a great shortstop also. He's one of the best defenders. Go look up the fielding stats. I don't have them in front of me. I've heard it all. Bernie Mikla's on another show on the other station talks about it every day. He provides those stats. He's I think, the best fielding shortstop in the National League in terms of saved runs. This guy's a good fielder, and now he's hitting like this. I don't understand why Cardinal Nation can't say, yeah, we were down on him. We thought it was over. But, okay, 25 games. Let's see where he goes from here. Instead, it's only 25 games. He's terrible. He's got to go. Maybe he's building up his trade value, and we could trade him. Come on, man. I was you. I was the one saying, why are we still doing this with Paul DeYoung? In 25 games, he's proved me wrong. Let's hope this continues. If it goes back to the way it was, then we know, right? But how about be excited for what he's doing now? Why can't we be excited for what he's doing now? People, I've grown to the point in life where I'm really just starting to hate everybody. Except for the people I know in my life, that are in my circle, work-wise, personal-wise, family-wise. Regular people outside of that, I think I hate you. Cardinal fans drive me nuts. Look, you've heard me on here talk about how much I hate Chiefs fans, Kansas City sports fans. They're the worst. They're insufferable. When the Royals made their run in 2013 and 14, all of a sudden, every Kansas City baseball fan was like, I've been a fan this whole time. You haven't. The 13,000 at your 50,000-seat stadium tell me otherwise. You are not always a fan. I've been supporting the Royals for years. You haven't. Liar. Pinocchios. I've given you statistics on Chiefs fans selling out Arrowhead Stadium when they lose for a couple of years. They don't. Rams fans attended better than Chiefs fans after a couple of years of losing. I gave you the numbers. The problem is the Chiefs don't lose anymore. The Chiefs are very, very good. And they're with Patrick Mahomes, who's the best quarterback to ever play the position. I really believe that. they're going to be in the hunt for Super Bowls every year while he's there. So, but they'll tell you they're the greatest football fans of all time when attendance figures during years they've lost will tell you otherwise. Chiefs fans are very into themselves, and I do not like them. But you know what? I know why other fan bases don't like Cardinals fans, because Cardinals fans are the same way. They are. You are Cardinals fans. You're the same way. You love yourselves. I'm a Cardinals fan. I love my Cardinals. I love my city. I staunchly support the Cardinals. I'll boast about our attendance figures. I wonder what would happen if the Cardinals lost for 2 or 3 straight years. We haven't experienced that. We've had one losing season the last 23 years. And the B-Fibs can be insufferable when it comes to stuff like this. Paul DeYoung, he's been terrible. He's gotten worse. It was over. Everyone wanted him gone. Let's start from scratch. Let him go somewhere else. The Cardinals don't do it. They stick by this guy. He makes the right adjustments finally this last offseason, and in 25 games, this small sample size, he is raking at an all-star level, better than the 5 all-stars from last year's all-star team I just pointed out. Better than those 5 all-stars in this 25-game stretch. And Cardinal fans are still, he'll come back down to earth. He's terrible. We're going to keep playing him, and it's going to ruin our season. I just don't get why Cardinal fans can't look at this and say, you know what? It's kind of cool. His resurgence is cool. How many of you B-Fibs got mad at the Cardinals for letting go of Matt Carpenter when he started raking in New York? A ton of you. Oh, we got rid of him after complaining about him for a year and a half. He goes to the Yankees. By the way, jet stream in Yankee Stadium, short porch in right field. He started hitting home runs there. Shocking, right? Oh, but the Cardinals made a mistake letting him go after you complained about him. You'd have done the same thing if they let go of DeYoung and he started hitting like this for somebody else. Just enjoy his resurgence because it's massive. What a massive resurgence in just 25 games. I get it. Let's see what happens over the next 25. Let's see what happens over the 25 after that. But for now, I am super excited because if he continues to hit even close to this pace, this lineup is extended and so much deeper because with Arenado, Goldschmidt, Nootbaar, Nolan Gorman, now you add a 5th guy who's raking. And then you can mix and match the others in the lineup. And Wilson Contreras. I forgot about Wilson Contreras. Paul DeYoung could be key to this team getting from 10-24 to the playoffs. He could be. He already plays all-star level defense. And I'm very excited for the 25 games he's put in. Hopefully it continues. And I'm excited to see. I'm excited. I'm not down on it. As a matter of fact, it makes me happy for Paul DeYoung. Imagine his mental state for the last 2 years. He was an all-star in 2019. And he went from all-star to worse than Pete Kozma? Yeah, that had to have been messing with him. How can be happy for Paul DeYoung? Come on, B-Fibs. Good Lord. Listen to me, would you? All right, I've had enough. The show is coming to a close. What a great show. Thank you to head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith at SIUE Women's Basketball. Enjoy your trip to Italy. Enjoy the experience and enjoy playing basketball over there. What a experience those young ladies are going to have. SIUE Women's Basketball, head coach Samantha Quigley-Smith. Congratulations, Matthew Tkachuk, St. Louis's own. Panthers going to the Stanley Cup, and he is on a Conn Smythe mission. And congratulations, Paul DeYoung, on your 25 games here in the majors this year. Hopefully it continues. My name's Randy Molman. Thank you for joining today and every Thursday. Until next Thursday at 8 a.m. So long, everybody.
yo soy Héctor Bell y los queremos invitar a que escuchen Little City por la señal de KXOK todos los miércoles en punto a las 6 de la tarde y otra vez los jueves a las 9 de la noche.
Es una hora completa de lo más reciente en deportes de San Luis, incluyendo nuestro equipo de fútbol St. Louis City SC, sus jugadores, análisis, predicciones y mucho más.
Recuerda, sintoniza el 102.9.
All you happy people.